and whether or not BDS can make some plants work on their attacking half.
Do they counterban or do they go with what they know? Because if they go with what they know, it's an Ace, a Valkyrie, a Nomad, and a Wamai, I think should be off the board as a whole. So if it's predictable, it's those four I just said going off the board. Instead, Thatcher will go off the board. Okay, now this puts a little bit of pressure on Team Empire because they're known for banning Nomad on this map. And whether they just stick to their guns and go, yep, we're getting rid of Nomad, we don't care that you've gotten rid of Thatcher, they'll do the same. I expect a Valkyrie and a Wamai to go out now because there's no need to change your defensive bans quite as intensely. I could see why the Thatcher went out. They start on defense, and a lot of their defense relies on a couple of shields, especially on Sunrise, for example, but it's going to be a mirror. Okay, they didn't like that from BDS on Villa. They said, nah, we don't want those mirrors anymore. Interesting. Okay, things are changing up a little bit.
Well, Empire are the ones to employ it themselves. If you remember the double setup coming in between Aviator, when we were on the Aviator site, actually they made use of it there too. Maybe not to the best effect. A couple did peek in front of it, but that's a thing. Last ban from BDS, no big surprise at all, is going to be the Wamai. One of the first teams to popularize this ban around the world, and then many others started doing it. Even today, they're still swinging and banning it away when other teams do not. So we have our bans finished out. Into Coastline we go. Again, if Empire win this map, they win the whole major. They win the grand final 3-0. If BDS win it, well, this suddenly becomes a very interesting tale as we step back into their map pick, and it may come all the way down to map number 5.
Just having a little bit of a look at the compositions here, and especially the starting site. They're going to start on Hookah, and that's a pretty popular site. Outside of Kitchen, Hookah would be one of the primary bomb sites that teams look to go to. The fact that we have Valkyrie in, this interests me ever so slightly because, and I've got to double check my stats here to see exactly which team usually bans it. Okay, it is Empire that would usually get rid of this on this map. So as a result of leaving the Valkyrie in, I would have expected them to then bring an IQ. They don't have it, and that's fair enough because Echo is not viable for this particular competition, this tournament. But if you don't find those evil eyes, or rather those black eye cams, then you're going to have a lot of problems very quickly. I don't want to say that it's going to be their kryptonite, but it very well could be.
Give it a good time to play it. I was just trying to kind of dig back actually because I can't remember exactly how the series played out between G2 and BDS last time. Was it a 2-0 that then turned into a reverse sweep, or was there a map in between?
No, complete reverse sweep.
Buckle in, ladies and gents. This could get spicy. So let's crack on and see how it plays out. I think a couple of times with BDS, one thing I've touched on over this weekend has been when the Wamai and the Jaeger has been not an option because the Wamai's banned away, they have defaulted back to playing on this Mute Mossy setup. Maybe not a map I'd look at and say that's a thing, but I think it's more for Alentu playing out on the Roman, normally supporting Shaiko on the Jaeger, which is what you're seeing come out here. With that Valkyrie available, also keeping a close eye on the information game that no doubt is going to come out for BDS, assuming they can nick a drone or two as well.
Whoa, what a fast entry there by Joystick. We praised him on it on Villa, but he's done it in really quick fashion here. He even used an entire breaching charge, or rather breaching Ash charge, to be able to open up the line of sight from double window all the way over into VIP. And now you could tell Shaiko was like, okay, I probably should have been there to help out my roaming buddy. I wasn't. I can't refrag in the position that Joystick currently is. And now they're giving up VIP really quickly. And because the site is Hookah, if the Ace can get a Selma on the wall and open up that line of sight to Cocktail, maybe even get another Selma on the roof of the quad wall, then things look really good for Empire. Extraordinarily fast. I know it's Coastline, but wow.
Joystick just takes no prisoners, man. He's just like, look, I don't care if you guys need my utility. I don't care if there are shields to deal with. 30 seconds in the round, someone needs to be dead, and I'm the man orchestrating that demise. On the last map, it was Shaiko coming up red stairs, as you mentioned here. It's Venshiro playing around inside of VIP, I think it was. Either way, it's a C4 off the board. It's another operator dead. Let's see how BDS can recover. But Empire, they've got the control. The one thing I'm keeping a very close eye on is timing. In the last map, a couple of times, they were in control, but didn't have enough time to close rounds out. Sometimes they made it work, sometimes they didn't. So that's what I'm watching for here on Coastline, a map that generally is a bit smaller. Your proximity to site is a lot closer, so they should be able to get some executes off here.
I think Joystick's aware that someone was nearby, and well, they've got a heck of a lot of this control over towards the northeast. They're trying to get some northwestern control as well. Alems will have a C4 below, so he actually would be quite detrimental for this push, depending what push they sort of go for. And I don't know whether or not there's going to be any of those Valkyrie cams on site, because if there are, they could feed him the necessary intel he needs. There's the one that would have going down to Shepard. And now he knows that he's going in blind. Joystick is the one that will challenge that C4 below. And it seems like Alems is playing cat and mouse with him at the moment.
Bit of a chase game. Chase around the map, my dear. Try and catch me. Shoiko goes down on the site of all places as well, I think, here. Not yet dead, but at least down and not out. And now that he can't deny, I mean, the smoke is there regardless. They can't really deny Empire just charging their way into site and looking for a plant here. Shepard going a little bit deeper. There's a C4 from below and also one playing at the top of Vaz right here. But Rafal loses that swing. The C4 comes out, but it's not going to be enough. Alem, the player that we spoke about playing vertically so often, has now got it all to do. Coming from below, pushing his way up. Going to find one, but can he find the next two? Dan and Shepard stand in his way as obstacles. One holding on big window and one, I think, trying to play for the upside down rappel in Aqua. This is a lot of work for him to get done. Get losers out in the gunfight. Empire secure round number 1.
Oh, this tells a very, very bad tale here for BDS. And look, I wouldn't say between both of these teams that I would be biased in any way. When I came into the grand finals, I said to myself, who do I want to win and who do I statistically think will win? On my predictions, I put Empire. Empire looked so good against BDS, and BDS made so many mistakes mere 24 hours ago that I said to myself, if I had to tip a team to win, it would be Empire. At the moment, they're proving me right. I've cast a curse VP before. I'm sure I can cast a curse yet another Russian team accidentally. But I actually think, given how Empire are playing, that they are the team that has the consistency, as you spoke about before, round after round after round, to be able to walk away victors. And it might have been Hap who brought it up. You can't be relying on those kind of big hitting players, or even Fluke. I think she brought it up as well. You've got to be consistent. You've got to have round after round, player after player stepping up. This is the major finals. This is not, a best of one regular series. This is it. You can't go any further.
What I hate was in the pre-game, I sat with Dev and he was saying like, no, you guys will stay with BDS. And I was like, no, I think Empire's going to win. I left my prediction in italics. I wanted to change it and forgot to come and do it. But what's even funnier is I've come onto the sheet and seen under Gio's name, she predicted BDS to win. But under that, in about 12 cells in our spreadsheet, has put in all caps, I feel guilty about this and want to be proven wrong. And she even inside the actual BDS cell where she said BDS, she's put, wow, because I think she feels bad, like, whatever feeling you had, Gio, always back your team is all I'll say for that one, because it looks like Empire are en route to win. That first commanding round definitely puts a lot of hope in them for the rest of this map. We'll see if BDS can get that momentum swing that we so often speak about in best of 3 and best of 5 series. We're back on the same side once again. A couple of changes coming outside. But interestingly, I think after they knew the Valkyrie was a thing, they said, look, it's time to start bringing the IQ along to deal with those.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I can see that there from them. They're not afraid. We used to speak about Team Empire just running the same attacking composition no matter what.
Oh my God, Alem, not again.
Not again. Oh no, it's a riddle.
Valkyrie the cursed operator.
Yes, you don't want that if you're a Lems, and we've actually spoken about a Lems a lot of the times. Oh, this is not good, by the way, for BDS in any way, shape, or form. Both the Lems and Shaiko have been able to do almost nothing for the first round. Now they'll get to do nothing for this second round. The reason I wanted to point out, at least for Empire, is that they're usually so static and they stay so stagnant with the way that they have their compositions. For them to move an entire operator and to have it as a key role of being that Valkyrie cam finder shows me that they're willing to adapt if they need to, and that's very important.
What I really admire about Empire is they've had very limited changes during what has been a very rough, year and a half for them. They were this dominant team that everyone knew as the team that never changed. They always played their style and they played it better than anyone else, which is how they won. And then teams started figuring them out. And for the longest time, they have struggled to adapt themselves to deal with that style of gameplay. But here, and I know it's only one pick, but you even saw it in terms of how they changed up their attacks and some of their defenses on Villa just a second ago. They change a lot, and things aren't changing here for BDS. It's going from bad to worse. Joystick finds itself a couple. Scyther swings round for the final. Empire close out round number 2. And I was going to say the worst thing of all, this was their map pick. You're coming into Coastline, a map where attackers tend to do quite well. You don't care which side of the map you start on. Empire are full of beans right now.
You say that it's Coastline and, it is one of the most attacking-sided maps. Let me give you a little bit of facts here about Team Empire. Team Empire on Coastline are more defensive-sided. They've had far more success on their defense statistically than they have on their attack. Now, what does that tell you about how they're performing right now, right here? Come on, Des. I got to hear you, brother. I got to hear your thoughts on this.
You know what? I'll be dead honest. I was actually scribbling down notes on what operators have been picked.
You know, I'm gonna put this out for all of the viewers out there. Yeah, I'm going to out you publicly to how many tens of thousands of people who are watching right now.
Tell them the story. It's a cool story.
I said to Des the other day, and I'll make this story rather quick. I said, sometimes I'm having a conversation with you, and then you go off on a complete other tangent mid cast. And he said, I'll be honest, Jess. Sometimes I just am focused on something completely different other than what you're saying, and then I realize I've forgotten to listen to what you say, and all of a sudden you finish speaking and I don't know what you've said, and I kind of just hope that I can wing it. And that explains why he does repeat a lot of the things I say. So I appreciate you not listening to me, Des. It is very heartwarming.
What can I say? Your voice sometimes it just becomes a bit too much for the old ears and need a rest. I have to just kind of turn you down a little bit, mute you for about 10 seconds, and then we're good to go. So no, please do ask me again. I'm very engaged in this conversation and wish to respond to you, so please ask again.
Look, all I was saying was that Team Empire on Coastline statistically have shown that they're an extraordinarily defensive-sided team. So given they've won 2 attacks already, how does that tell you this matchup is very likely to go?
Yeah, I know it gives you the lean of it going that way. I don't know. We always say games are of 2 halves, and that different teams coming up against different teams, games can completely change how they play out. A game of Empire versus G2 on this map may be very, very different to what we see from Empire versus BDS, so I'll stay as I'll withhold judgment is the way I think I'll put it so far, and we'll see how it plays out once we get towards that second half, because that could turn out to be for BDS that actually they completely steamroll their way over Empire the way they did Vitality back at the start of stage 1. They burst their way into the building every single round and decimated Vitality no matter where they were on the map, and I'm wondering if I'm going to see the same out of BDS today, or if that confidence might be a little bit shaky given the predicament they currently find themselves in. Either way, Alibi being brought along for a Lem here, so maybe not quite ready to gravitate towards the Frost themselves. That has kind of been the go-to replacement here. Rather than bringing an Alibi, a lot of teams are turning towards Frost. Same shot, well, not the same shotgun, but a shotgun to do some terraforming. Able to get on the map and cause trouble. Got a pretty decent gun. The gadget definitely ain't bad either. And also brings that shield if you want it as an option.
Oh, this is beautiful. A single foot forward and Shaiko will very likely lose his life here. Always is read into the fact that they are doing a 90 shield hold. Dan's read into the fact that there is also a lobby hold, and wow, how he got away with his life there is absolutely beyond me. And if he does manage to win this, then that is even further beyond me. But no, Dan says, I've had enough of this back and forth with Renshiro down in Lamborghini front door. He's going to rappel up to White Window instead. And is that a DMR or is that just a funky barrel there?
You're hoping a funky barrel, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, they've picked up a completely new gun. Yeah. I love the ARX. It's a very, very accurate weapon. It's got high damage as well compared to the AK, who has a lot of bullets and very high recoil. I'm not sure exactly where this is going now as we're hitting the 45-second mark of the round, but it's pretty much going in Empire's favor by the looks of it. And it's been so frag heavy. Whoever's observing right now, shout out to you for being able to capture all these kills, because I have no idea what's going on in any side of the map anymore. It's just a flurry of kills.
Let's turn on hardcore mode here to try and keep it going. Of course, it's medics as well as we hear his lovely Croatian accent speak out to us. Renshiro's on a 3K with a wonderful run out, though. 1 versus 1. And you know what? Always, he has not moved a foot this round. He has basically sat above the same hatch the whole time. And with the plant being down, Renshiro has completely the wrong idea. Surely he's heard him step forwards. There we go. 3 kills for Always. I believe that was from above. And Renshiro with the 3K himself. Not quite enough to close out the round. Empire 3 for 3 on the attacking half of Coastline.
I'm sitting here because I'm in 2 minds, Des. One mind and one half of me says, please reverse sweep at BDS. This is a grand final. That's what we want. We want this to go the full 9 yards. We want to see everything. We want to see all the stamina, all of the great plays, the nutty shots. And then the other half of me goes, you know what? I want to see Empire redeem themselves as some of the biggest hitters in the world. Do you remember back to the very intense G2 Empire rivalry? You know, back when we were at SI and we were watching them just slog it out on this exact map for 20 plus rounds. I mean, for me, I want to see Empire redeem themselves. I think they've They've finally gotten to a position and a comfortability on roles where they can do that. But I also feel really bad for BDS because they are one of the best teams in Europe. I just don't know what's going on with them this major.
This is the kind of... I don't want to say something about Siege because you see it in a lot of games, I think, where consistency just evaporates sometimes. BDS throughout the regular season, through the last major, back in stage 1, were hands down the best team. Did that mean that they went absolutely flawless and 9-0'd their way through the stage? No. They lost a couple of games in the second stage. I think they lost one to Na'Vi, for example, and they drew against Vitality. They've had struggles along the way. Teams can figure them out. On the different day, you can add a 15% performance modifier to any given player based on how are they feeling that day, how's the preparation gone, how confident are they feeling, did they get a good night's sleep. There's just so much that weighs into it. But Empire have turned up as a team today that are switched on, and I wouldn't say BDS haven't shown up. It's just that Empire looks so much stronger right now.
Their entries have been rather infallible. You and I spoke about this yesterday. We said that they had almost every single attacking round, and I can't remember which map, so please enlighten me if you do remember, but they had almost every single entry on a particular map yesterday, and it was unbelievable. And they might get that yet again. Shaiko, he's not been, you know, a lot of people say Shaiko activated, you know, that's what we're looking for, but he's just been deactivated this entire match so far.
He isn't given the same agency, I think, to hold an extended area of the map in comfort and cause trouble. Like, look at last round when he was holding 90. You had always looking through the drone hole, waiting for him to step forward. Empire just know where he is and they're able to deal with it. What I do like is that at least for Lem here, stepping across to the Vigil, they used this in a couple of their games yesterday, I think, in a couple of rounds at least, where his sole objective was to just play off Shaiko and for the two of them to be an absolute nightmare to deal with. In fact, one round on Villa, Shaiko died on red, no problem at all. So what did they do? They had a Lem playing on Mozzie, holding side Wolf window, and just contest anyone that peeked it. They can double down on aggression. That looks like what they're trying to do, because even Rafal is going for the extended hold with Bandit here alongside him. But it doesn't stop Dan getting the opening kill. Renshiro the first to fall, and that is such a critical pulse pick. Shaiko banged out by Always. My God, this is just too easy. The first couple of kills in every single round are 4 in the way of Empire. Make it the third. I thought it was the fourth, but no, it's Rafal to bite one back onto Always, still holding that top fragging spot. The question is, how much time can he waste? He's on the top floor. They have one player on site. Wonderful long-range shot onto Scyther, 3 versus 2, and we've still got 75 seconds left to play. He gets tagged out, and I'll absolutely agree with you, Jess. Commending to Medics here for catching every single kill that's coming onto your screen. Brede has got to do it all by himself now into a 1 versus 2. We always say that he's used to these kind of situations, but hasn't had too many clutches so far in this major. Can he bring down Dan? Can he bring down Shepard? We'll find out in the closing 55 seconds.
Taking a deep breath here because Brede is a big clutch master, but he's got the inferior weapon to really do it with, especially long range. Both Dan and Shepard, they're thinking things through, and Dan saying, well, I'll deal with this problem with bullets. Grenade's still in hand as well, mind you. He actually didn't even get into position to be able to use any of that utility. And that round very clearly, very decisively going into the hands of Empire. I'm shaking in my boots because if I'm a BDS fan right now, I'm saying to myself, none of what BDS has put on the board here in this first half of Coastline gives me any hope that they're going to be able to get this reverse sweep kicking into gear. I can't believe we're even saying this about BDS. I can believe we would say that Empire would be quite strong, but I can't believe we're saying that that BDS is getting wiped off the table. It's unheard of.
I'm sure Gio is just like a pool of excitement, energy, euphoria right now at home, where she sat looking at this game as well with absolute excitement that Empire are doing so well. But let me pose a thought to you, Jess. What would you say if we flipped this round? Say a month ago in a game of VUL on Coastline, it was these two teams against each other, remove the name tags and say that Empire are BDS and BDS are Empire. Would you say that would be a fair assessment of how a game should be going, where BDS are 4-0 up on Coastline?
Yes. Regardless of the map.
Whereas here, the exact opposite is taking place. It's crazy.
It does feel like the name tags are mixed up, that we've got the wrong teams at the top of the board on our overview here. We have to credit Empire. We really do have to credit Empire. We have to credit their support staff as well. There's a lot of content they've been putting out where their support staff are involved in it, and you can really get an inside look as to how their team operates. They've been spending a lot of time at their team house, and grinding over and over with their strats, with their plays, with their roles, joystick moving from frag on defense to full support. They've put a lot of work into this. So if there's a team that probably has made the most changes and done the most work to be able to get this kind of victory, it's probably Empire.
Ooh. All right. Well, let's see how round number 5 plays out. If there is any hope for BDS, it's got to be established here with a round in round number 5 and maybe one in round 6 at the same time. Joystick's doing his thing, crouch walking his way through. It's not quite a red stairs as it was on Villa, but he is trying to find out where these members of BDS are. And I think for BDS now, there is a certain reservation to their playstyle. They're no longer holding out inside Penthouse and Theatre, looking to play on their own and causing trouble early at Windows, for example. Instead, they've pulled most of their players back to site. Even Shaiko is being reserved and holding inside of Aqua right here. So they want to hold these locations down, just say to Empire, look, all right, you win on the own game. We can't contest you there. Let's see how all this plays out when it comes around to site executes.
I also want to give a shout out to Always. He's been hitting the shots with the C8 like an absolute god. You see him feature up on the roof very early on in a lot of these rounds to be able to hold the rotates and apply pressure. So I think that's why BDS have decided, let's not roam, because when we rotate back, we get caught off. A lobby hold is absolutely essential, I think, because they know that Empire has been pushing over towards lobby. They've been placing someone at the lobby double doors. So to have someone there to at least challenge it is important. But that's probably why a lot of these players are sticking closer to site, because they're being caught out on the rotates back to side.
Makes total sense. I mean, admittedly in the last round for BDS, it was more of a heavy committal to Penthouse and Theatre. Very big denial, well, big attempt at denial with the Bandit being brought along at the same time. More for down for a different change of scenery, though. Dan's got himself inside. I think that's the first opening kill that BDS are going to find in this map so far. Everything else has gone the way of Empire thus far. So a small moment to pause and breathe for the side of BDS, knowing they brought down Joystick, but you still got to deal with the likes of Dan and Always have been popping off on this map as well.
Things are still looking good here for BDS to snag their first round on Coastline here. It's 5 rounds in, so you would want to hope that they can walk away with at least one defensive round before the halves switch. And, oh, Shaiko, he'll barely walk away with a tiny bit of his life in his hands, but he's done the damage onto the big hitters of Empire, Joystick and Dan going down. And now, well, it's going to be Always Shepard and Scyther to clean up the mess.
With very little time to go, this is very reminiscent of one of the rounds that we saw back on Villa. They're going to have to peek aggressively to make kills happen, but Shaiko striking up second. They can't smoke him out. They can't kill him. This one should be a clear-cut round for BDS. Always is going to find a couple before he gets C4'd out as that clock hits 0. BDS will take round number 5 and make sure they don't go into the second half of this map staring at match point every single time.
We're asking BDS to do a complete best-of-5 reverse sweep. We're also asking BDS to not let Empire on this singular map force them into a reverse sweep on their second half. So there's a lot of pressure on BDS right now, and a lot of people are probably sitting there going, hang on, Jess, BDS monsters, unstoppable in the regular EUL stage, both stage 1 and stage 2, unlike the story of Rogue, unfortunately, but they've been consistently top players. Why have they come into the major, and why are they doing technically so poorly? Oh, I've got 2 answers for that. One, they're not really doing that poorly. Empire are seriously just better than them today. They are seriously so much better than them. It is very hard to quantify in a couple of sentences, but that's my overarching storyline here. And number 2, I think Alem's put it really well the other day. It was on the first day. You and I had casted their match, and he said something to the effect of, we wanted to be too perfect. We played like everything had to be too perfect, and BDS has never played that way before. They've always played in their comforts. They've always played and things have just naturally worked for them because they've played so well. They've come into the major, they've tried to be too perfect, and by trying to seek perfection, they've done the opposite.
It's a conversation I've had with a couple of coaches and analysts a few times, actually, is, you know, there's a world where Siege is like a game of chess. Everything is perfect. The moves are always the same. There's no variability. And others that look at the game as there is absolute variance. There are games where some players are going to step up and have the best game of their life, and that's a factor you can't account for. There's going to be someone holding one strange, weird angling around that completely upsets your strategy or setup. It's not so clear-cut as a game that you can play it like a game of chess where it has to be absolutely perfect. There will be variance on days, and I think that's what we're seeing here today is there's a great mix of strategy for Empire, but also just BDS not being at the form that we're used to seeing. Either way, there's still a big chance for a reverse sweep. Yes, they are down 4-1. Yes, some may be saying, oh, this is over, this is done, Empire win, whatever. Crazier things have happened in games of Siege in the past, and we all know the kind of games that we're referencing when we say that. See how the final round of the attack plays out for Empire. Again, for BDS leaning back over towards the sort of setup we've seen quite a lot. The Vigil, the Mute, and the Mozzie all coming along. So a lot of focus on denying away from Empire this drone-focused gameplay. Something that on maps like Clubhouse, we commend Empire as being very good at. Makes total sense to me.
They're going to get that Sunrise Wall opened up very early, bringing the ace along to be able to do it. I've been mesmerized every time I've been watching Always, actually. I just consistently take Buck time and time again. It's not an operator you see a lot anymore because he has lost his frag grenades, but he uses it to complete skill. And it's really nice that there are still players that are willing to give Buck a go, even though he doesn't necessarily have those grenades to work with. They've brought a sledge alongside him, so that's 2 soft breach operators. But really what I think Scyther's job is to do is to have those grenades in hand, whereas Always has been doing really good on the C8, and he's been able to long range with the skeleton key. So there's variance here from Empire, and it's not something we're used to seeing from them.
Yeah, Buck every single round so far this map, but I think on the last map we saw it for quite a number of rounds coming out of them too. Reminds me a lot of Gorgona in the European Challenger League from Kavana Gaming, who we'll see at the European Finals. He swears by the operator. I asked him, he said, look, the gun's good. You've got flashes to burn through utility. He does all the right stuff for you. And if you want to blow a wall open and surprise someone, Skeleton Key is absolutely the way to go because you can do so from range and there is no animation buffer after the hammer has been swung as you would have with a sledge. Opening kill comes onto Alem regardless. That's him down and out. Normally, again, the vertical player that plays below with the C4 will be shut down quite early here. I say early, it's actually quite late. 60 seconds remain, maybe early into the execute, you'd wager. Burst smoke comes out, almost tags down Dan a little bit, loses about 20 HP. Always the same sort of story. No one being dead, and a grenade comes singing in from Scyther. We spoke around the sledge and those verticals being opened up. They've now gone through all 4 of their frags and have found a kill from it. 5 versus 3. This is when they should be thinking it's time to go big. Time to close the round out. Shaiko and Brede find one, but gets shut down after. 3 versus 2 and the plant is going down, but the player on Cool Vibes is doing enough. It's all down to Rafal to work some magic. He sees one, brings down Always. 1v2 and has got to save this round for BDS, else the second half is going to be very, very uncomfortable for them. Looking through the vertical angles, should know that one is behind bar, one outside pool entrance. Might be a little bit too much for him to deal with here, but he's got very little time with which to make it happen. Sees one and injures Scyther, but Shepard is still standing. He knows where he is. He's got the indicator that he's outside. All he's got to do is sit and wait, and he's outside the window. Let him step inside, and this is the freest kill of your life. Doesn't want to get himself pre-fired, but almost does. Shepard down to half HP. C4 comes out, not going to connect it, and even if he gets it down, would not have been able to have time to get the diffuser off. Team Empire win round 6. They go 5-1. They are 2 rounds away from being the European Major Champions.
I have goosebumps in thinking to myself that BDS are going to walk away without a single map in a best of 5 in the grand finals. I didn't think you and I would be sitting here casting one for such a short period of time here in the best of 5 finals in any way, shape or form. Because mind you, if Empire win the next round, propel themselves on a match point, and let's say BDS gets 1 or 2 more rounds, that is nowhere near overtime. The first matchup between VP and BDS went overtime in every single map. All of the best of 3 maps went complete overtime, almost max OT for every single one of those maps. We're getting to the grand final here, and Empire are so dominant, are so incredible with their gameplay that BDS can't get a leg up anywhere. There's been no possibility for them to get those rounds culminated in a convincing fashion, and I am seriously concerned that you and I, it comes back to our cameras in the next 15 to 20 minutes, and we are staring at the camera going, so yeah, that happened.
Does feel like it's going that way. The only round the BDS won was when they played that kind of bunker setup with every single member playing on or around site. Anytime they've had a lem out on the roam, someone holding out towards Penthouse Theatre, Empire have always found the opening kill. 5 rounds, they got the opening kill. Only 1 round, that round number 5, did the lem get the opening kill onto Joystick. Either way, we're into the second half here. Let's see how things shape up. You said Empire defensively on Coastline, very, very strong. And I said to you in response, for a lot of teams, that can vary a lot based on who they're playing against. BDS might just bring the beans here on the attacking side, or Empire could put it to bed as said in just a couple of rounds. We'll see.
They're going to see a Valkyrie can thrown out as well, so that'll be Renshiro's job to do, yeah, very much, and easily dispatch of that. So now they're going to be very aware that there are Valkyrie cams going to be splattered around. They've got 1 of the 3. You could see that Renshiro was looking around to see if there was another one possibly thrown out as the prep phase ended. They don't have an IQ to play with, which is fair enough. That's okay. But you also want to make sure you're consistently aware that they could be there spotting you over and over. We got that new ping 2.0. They could be yellow pinging you over and over, and you don't know anything about it. So I hope for Shaiko's sake here, he's able to get the Shaiko plays happening, hitting heads as he did on Villa. It's yet to be seen, really. And I am afraid from this defensive-sidedness that Empire has shown here on Coastline before, BDS have to dismantle it, and they have to do it in a confident fashion.
Joystick almost getting taken down, but no, it's always who's going to fall first. Alem, the only player to find the opening kill for BDS on this map so far. In both rounds, he's done it. And there's the sweep I was thinking we might see out of them in this half. They start out strong. 3 kills, nothing in response from the other side, although does swing out with a grenade. And hey, Shepard is also aware of how this plays out, given he has been the white window player for them on a number of occasions. Still leaves us in a 4 versus 2, and for the Empire here, you're thinking, man, surely with 80 seconds left to play, they can't win a 2 versus 4. BDS can get the plant off here, no questions asked. Brude's got that in hand, so keep a very close eye on him, but also be aware of the C4 in the hands of Joystick and the damage that he can do from below in Sunrise. Alem is holding aggressively. He's daring him to come pushing around. He thinks better of it, and now Joystick's left in a 1 versus 4. There should be no peace here for him. This should be BDS taking round number 7.
This seems almost impossible, and impossible it will be. And Alem's, his job was to stay below and make sure that none of those C4s rained up. Did a really good job there, BDS, in making sure that they got that entry onto Hookah. And what I liked was that they didn't spread themselves thin. Some teams, and in fact, Empire kind of did that a little bit, and they did end up meeting up over towards VIP, etc. They did sort of spread themselves across multiple parts of the map. And we often criticize that because if you lose one side of your shape, everything sort of tumbles down into a mess and you don't have the pinch you necessarily wanted to have. What I like from BDS is that they said to each other, we want Hookah. Here's how we take it. We don't really need to put someone over in bedroom or over in Aqua. We just need to focus on the side itself. Empire threw themselves on, boom, you walk away with a round win. And that's a bit of a confidence booster, a well-earned and well-needed confidence booster for BDS.
Kitchen Serve is going to be the next side that we head over to, and Empire still wanting to keep things spicy, going to bring a clash along to the table. Curious to know where they're going to play that one, whether it's more looking to cause trouble around the doorway coming out of the corridor, or if they're looking out towards service entrance, or if they go even more aggressive and look towards holding upstairs, dropping down through the hatch when they feel that their time has expired. And given how much focus BDS put into the top floor, that looks to be exactly the same sort of play coming out of Empire. Reinforcements, mute jammers going down up there. I'll see if we'll see Clash join them up there. I think we might do. But at least for now, there is a good... That's 2 jammers down upstairs now as well. Wow, they really are committing to this top floor hold, Jess.
There are a lot of teams who will say to themselves, we are going to do pretty much an exclusive top floor hold because we expect a team to want to get verticals and to want to do a service entry plan. And that's fair enough. If you invest everything to it, you need to have a contingency plan in case it does become a kitchen window plan. If our beautiful observer could let me know if there is some lines of sight from luggage over to the kitchen wall, there's only feet holes. Okay. So there's only feet holes on the wall. There's no higher holes, which means if they wanted to jump in, do a quick plan in kitchen window, they could. But given what BDS look to be currently doing, I think they'll do a clear.
I think you sort of have to in this instance. I mean, you can try and ignore it and go for a jump in, but we saw this coming out of BDS a couple of times, if you recall, where we'd have Brede jumping in through kitchen window, trying to make a plan happen without full control of the top floor and just being gatted down as soon as he tried. So for me, that has absolutely got to be where they start things off. Bit of an early preemptive C4 coming out of Joystick, almost like a warning rather than a kill intent coming out, because no one loses a slither of HP on the side of BDS.
He wants to challenge this so badly. You can see him. He just really wants to peek on up. The shotgun would actually be quite a viable weapon to do that with, but the SMG short range has the same effect. And, well, this top floor hold from Empire is something they desperately want to hold on to. Renshiro says, okay, you go hold theater, you go hold penthouse, I'm going to rip up the floor in VIP, and when I have to deal with you, if I have to deal with you, I will. And by ignoring them and saying that you don't matter to us yet, it will make Empire antsy, and surely it will make them peak, which is what BDS wants.
Well, he's just constantly dipping his head back out to give them some information. Shaiko's trying to pursue Cypher here. He did get forced back by the flash a second ago. But still did good to hold firm for a short while longer. Empire successfully wasted about 1:40 here and almost killed a couple of members of BDS. It hasn't actually netted a kill for them so far, but look at the clock. The lower it goes, again, the more time it takes for that 6-man effect to come in for the defenders. A drop down from Always, and he's going to walk this one off. No one on main door to contest. He's out of there. They've wasted time. They've reduced health bars. Great play by Empire, and they still have 3 players out on the roam.
The fact that we're allowed to rotate off without any punishment is shocking to me. I'm not saying there should have necessarily been someone watching the hatch from below, lobby double doors, but they should have punished BDS so much more than they did. And now they've got a 5v5 on their hands with about 30 seconds left. This is horrible for them because if they try and go for a plan and they don't have 1 flank watch, 2 time on their hands, things will not look good for them.
Shepard goes down as he gets blasted through from above. I believe that was by Renshiro. Yes, it was. Down he goes. Okay, so that's the first kill, the first bit of bloodshed here at about the 25-second mark. That still leaves so much more to be done. And admittedly, with that being the smoke, that is probably the most critical operator you could kill in these dying moments. Always going to go aggressive here as he's being shot from above, can do nothing else except push into Brede, who might try and stick a plant out here. But given he's being stared at, they've got to make it happen. If Always can deny him here, they win this quite surely. Turns around for the fight, tries to go for the 360, but can't make it happen. Brede is the last man alive, going for the plant. It's as simple as that for Empire. Walk up to service, shoot him in the back, and that's the end of the round. Empire now at match, series, and major points. One more round, all they need to secure this victory.
What an absolute story this has been for Team Empire. I think this sort of rewrites the upward trajectory that we've been slowly speaking about since, the quarter way through stage 2 and especially halfway through stage 2, they were dominant and unfortunately had a forfeit against Vitality. But if they had been able to play that match, they may have been able to secure 4 wins in a row. It's kind of the similar story we had with Tempra, unfortunately not here with us at the end here in the grand finals, but to get to the major to begin with is a pretty damn big feat. So for Team Empire right now, can we say that the big Russian machines that we knew from 2019 might be back in all of their glory? Very possibly.
I will always sit here as the pessimist, I think, and say we need to see delivery in the regular split as well. And a major performance, absolutely a way to get that kick started, to give the players some motivation, to remind them, look, we have successfully adapted. We are beating all the other teams in EUL. Excellent. Let's start turning that into regular season results with a lot of successive wins and even bringing down the Titans of BDS in that best of 1 format. Ultimately, though, no one is going to remember a best of 1 in the regular split. What they will remember is that BDS lost 3-0 to Empire in the grand final. And say what you want, that scoreline will never disappear. Here we go then with potentially the final round. Empire with a bit of an extended hold going inside a kitchen. It's going to be a blue bar and sunrise hold. Something we don't see all that often. It is the tertiary site that most teams don't go to if they're given the choice. Penthouse and Theatre. Only teams like Tempera enjoy playing that sort of thing. It feels like everyone else steers as far away as possible. I'm keen to know if this is going to be a roam game for them or if we're going to see them play more on site, hunker down, and let BDS come to you, because there is no clash here this time round, at least, to waste time.
This is BDS's last chance. We cannot say this again unless, of course, it does go to them winning this round, and then they get another 3 chances to, project it all the way to overtime. But that means a full reverse sweep is required. And for BDS, well, that would be a very sad tale to tell. And for Empire, that's rewriting the books for them here for 2020. Something I don't think they thought they'd be able to say, that they'd be able to walk away as major winners. 2 minutes away, or partially less if things start to look a little bit weary for one team rather, to work out exactly which team will walk away, either with a reverse sweep possibility or with the win. And now I'm trying to analyze exactly what's going on here. And shout out to our observer, Medics, who's been able to find every kill thus far. It's given us a really good showing of both of these 2 teams, but nothing yet. It's the quiet before the storm. And nope, no, it's not.
It's absolutely, there is no calm before no storm, because Dan is whipping one up on Coastline. 2 kills coming out early in the round. And yes, one was traded back onto Always. But look at it. There's Joystick at the pool entrance doorway. There's Dan doing a run out at about halfway into the round. Empire mean business, and they catch Psycho. That's the one that you want to bring down. Brede will trade it back, and that's always nice to have on side. But it's Brede, it's Renshiro, the last men standing here that stand between Empire and that trophy they've been chasing for the last couple of years since SI 2019. What a journey this would turn into if they can do it all here and now. Let's see how they can pull this off. If BDS can find anything with the couple of drones they've got left and the couple of players, now's the time to channel everything you've got to turn this into victory. They've got the long-range angle coming out of ruins. They've got a player playing above. They have very little presence towards sites itself right now. I think they're just very wary of yet another run out because every window they look at has got a hole. It's got a bullet hole. It's got a smash hole in it. There's always something going on where Empire are just going to be waiting at the right moment to take it away from them.
It looks like they've all evacuated the site now. They don't want to risk it. They want to play lobby. BDS doesn't have control and Shepard still has his smokes. We're getting down to the last seconds of the round. They want to plant off, but they are being baited back by those smoke babes. Brude says, I can inch my way in and get this plant off. Shepard says no, and this is going to be the perfect play from Scyther. Surely he can zoom on in. 10 seconds left. Plant is down, Des. This could be a BDS round, but the retake could be strong.
They just didn't know it was coming in. He's managed to get away with an absolute steal there. And for Renshiro and Bride, all you got to do is hold on. They're going for the defuse. They've got to hold us to prep his angle so they see him. He's long-arming it. It's one man left alive. Renshiro, you've got to do it now. He gets the kill, or almost does. But Empire, that timer hits 0. And there's the celebration from a couple of players we were looking for. They are your European major champions for November with a solid 3-0 victory over BDS.
Well, Des, we can finally say it. The Russian machines are back, baby, and they are well-oiled. And they'll walk away as your champions here today for the European Major. How they would fare on an international stage yet again probably bodes pretty well for them as they will secure their spot in the 6th Invitational. And I